I never thought parking my Lamborghini in front of my own house would lead to this asterisk. 1 minute, I'm working from home, minding my business, and the next, I'm watching security footage of my car being stolen by none other than the HOA president herself. Yeah, you heard that right. Karen, the woman who's been complaining about community standards since the day I moved in, decided my car was an eyesore and took matters into her own hands. She didn't just leave a passive-aggressive note this time. She actually came onto my property, cut the lock on my gate, and drove off in my Lambo like she owned it. Now, here's the part she didn't know. The car. It wasn't just any Lamborghini. It was rigged. Not with explosives or anything crazy. This isn't an action movie, but with real-deal Homeland Security tech. Yeah, the kind used for high-profile surveillance. Long story short, let's just say a few federal agencies had eyes on that car for reasons I legally can't talk about yet . So when Karen sped off, thinking she was making some grand HOA statement, she had no idea what she'd just triggered. What happened next involved flashing lights, a convoy of black SUVs, and a whole lot of explaining. And trust me, I had nothing to do with the chaos that followed. Or did I? Let's just say, this story is far from over. So here's a little background before things got wild. Karen, our neighborhood HOA president, has always had a thing against me. Maybe it's the car, maybe it's because I didn't vote for her in the last meeting, or maybe she just hates loud engines. Either way, she's been nitpicking everything I do. From the wrong shade of grass on my lawn to accusing my trash bins of being too close to the curb. But this time, she went way beyond petty complaints. What she didn't know, and honestly, what most people don't, is that the Lamborghini wasn't even mine in the usual sense. I had loaned it to a friend at Homeland Security for a project, and when he returned it, let's just say he forgot to mention a few things. Turns out, they had been running a quiet surveillance op using the vehicle as a mobile asset. Nothing illegal, just sensitive. It had discrete GPS trackers, silent alert triggers, and a remote monitoring system all tied into a federal network. And the second Karen broke that lock and drove it off my driveway, she unknowingly set off every one of those systems. I didn't even realize what had happened until I got a call from an unknown number with a robotic voice saying, "Unauthorized movement detected. Please confirm." Then the notifications started flooding in, locations, movements, satellite pings. At first, I thought it was a glitch. But when I checked my home cameras, there she was, in broad daylight, pulling out with my car like she was running errands. But where she went next, that's where everything started to spiral. As I kept watching the security feed, I could hardly believe what I was seeing. Karen didn't just drive around the block or park it down the street like I expected. No, she took a hard left out of the neighborhood and just kept going. Meanwhile, my phone kept buzzing, different agencies pinging me through encrypted lines I didn't even remember setting up. One of the messages just said, "maintain position. Do not engage." That's when I realized this was way above my pay grade. I knew I had to stay calm, but the whole situation was spiraling fast. I mean, it's one thing when your HOA president oversteps, leaves a nasty letter, files a bogus violation, but it's a whole different thing when she unknowingly hijacks a government-tracked vehicle in a neighborhood that's already on edge. See, what Karen didn't know was that our area had recently been flagged for some unrelated, but serious, federal monitoring. That Lambo was parked where it was on purpose . It wasn't just about hiding tech, it was bait. And to make things even more twisted, there's this neighbor, Steve, ex-military, real quiet type, who's been suspicious of me ever since the car first showed up. He's been reporting strange activity to the HOA for weeks. I had no idea he'd been secretly recording the street from his second-story window. Turns out, he caught the whole thing, Karen breaking the lock, jumping in and speeding off. But instead of calling me, he went straight to the local news. And now there's a whole different problem: attention. Now, I've got government calls, a missing Lambo, Karen off the grid, and news vans sniffing around the cul-de-sac, and still, no one knows what's really in that car. By this point, everything felt like it was about to snap. I had Homeland Security texting coded warnings, neighbors whispering, and the local news circling like vultures. Still no sign of Karen or the Lamborghini. Every hour that passed, the situation felt heavier. I couldn't even leave my house without someone pointing a camera or asking, "Is it true your car's part of some secret government sting?" Then things got worse. A black SUV pulled up across the street, not one of the usual unmarked ones either. This one had tinted windows, government plates, and two guys in suits just sitting there. No knocking, no talking, just watching. That's when I knew they weren't just tracking the car anymore. They were watching *me*. Inside, I paced, trying to piece together what Karen could even be thinking. Like, where was she going? Did she know she was being followed? Did she think she was teaching me a lesson? Or was she just completely unaware of the chaos she triggered? My security system kept flagging new movement pings, warehouse districts, rural backroads. The Lambo was clearly moving in strange patterns, almost like someone was trying to lose a tail. At the same time, Karen's phone went dark. No calls, no texts, completely off the grid. That's when I started thinking, what if this wasn't just a random HOA tantrum? What if Karen had seen something in that car, something she shouldn't have? There were rumors that part of the surveillance project involved facial recognition tests, data that wasn't exactly public. And then, just as I was going through one of the live satellite feeds I somehow still had access to, the screen froze on a frame. The Lamborghini, abandoned, right outside a restricted facility. No sign of Karen, just tire marks, and a trail of something that definitely wasn't oil. I zoomed in on the satellite frame, my heart pounding. The Lamborghini sat crooked at the edge of a fenced-off facility I didn't even recognize. No signs, no roads leading in, just a cold concrete shell in the middle of nowhere. And that trail, it wasn't oil. It was too thin, too straight. More like someone, or something, had been dragged, but no Karen in sight. Before I could process what I was looking at, my screen flickered and went black. Then a message popped up. Unauthorized access detected. Session terminated. That was it. My last visual on the Lambo, gone. And suddenly, my phone rang again. This time, no robotic voice. It was my Homeland contact, voice low, serious. He only said one thing before hanging up. She opened the console. Now I was fully in it. That console wasn't supposed to be touched, let alone opened. Hidden beneath the dash, it contained encrypted drives, classified data being moved quietly across the state. Stuff way outside anything Karen, or even I, should have had access to. She must have thought it was just some flashy car mod. But opening it, that triggered another layer of tracking. And worse, silent alerts to certain agencies I wasn't even cleared to know existed. Then came the second twist. Steve, the ex-military neighbor, suddenly vanished. Just gone. His house, locked. Lights off. Mail piling up. I found out later he'd been contacted by someone about his footage. The same footage he'd sent to the local news. But it never aired. They'd pulled the story last minute. No explanation. Now, with Karen missing, Steve gone, and the Lambo abandoned near a facility that wasn't even on public maps I realized this wasn't just about a stolen car. Someone was tying off loose ends, and I wasn't sure how much time I had left. 2 days later, everything came to a head. I got a knock at the door, no call, no warning. 2 agents, suits sharp, eyes unreadable. One of them simply said, "You're coming with us." No time to grab anything, no time to call a lawyer. They put me in the back of a dark SUV and drove. No words, no radio, just silence and the sound of tires eating up the road. After what felt like hours, we pulled up to that same concrete facility where the Lamborghini was last seen. Except now, the car was gone, completely cleaned out, like it had never been there. They walked me inside, past tight security checkpoints and blank walls until we reached a room, plain table, one chair, and a thick folder already waiting. Inside, photos of Karen. One showed her standing in front of the console, smiling. Another, hours later, unconscious beside the car. They didn't explain what happened to her, just that she's in a secure location. That was it. Then came the real shock. Steve. He wasn't missing. He was working with them. Turns out, his quiet demeanor and binocular hobby weren't just neighborly paranoia. He'd been planted in the neighborhood months before. The Lambo was part of a bait operation, yeah. But I wasn't just the guy loaning a car. I was part of it too. Not a suspect, not a victim, an asset. And I've forgotten. The console Karen opened, it wasn't just surveillance data. It contained a hidden file meant to trigger my reactivation, something buried from my past work with the agency. The car, the chaos, the whole HOA mess. It was all part of the program. And as I sat there trying to make sense of it, the agent slid one last photo across the table. Karen, awake, staring right into the camera, smiling, like she knew exactly what she'd done. They let me go later that night. No charges, no explanations, just a firm reminder. This never happened. I walked back into my house like nothing had changed, but everything had. The Lambo vanished. Karen, technically still HOA president, though she hadn't shown up to a single meeting since. And Steve, he moved out a week later, left a note in my mailbox that just said, "Nice working with you, even if you didn't know it." Turns out, the whole operation was bigger than I imagined. The car was bait, yeah, but so was the neighborhood. A low-risk zone for high-stakes testing. Karen's impulsive move had exposed a flaw in their system, and that alone made her useful. Whatever she saw in that console woke something up, not just in me, but in the agency. They said I had agreed to a memory block when I stepped away years ago. I guess the Lamborghini was never just a flashy car. It was the key to something I'd locked away. Life's been quiet since then. Too quiet. The neighborhood gossip faded, the news crews moved on, and people just assumed Karen took an extended vacation. But every now and then, I'll see a black SUV parked a little too long, or get a random system update notification on a phone I don't remember setting up. So yeah, if you ever find yourself dealing with an over-controlling HOA president, maybe don't leave a Homeland Security modified Lamborghini in your driveway. Or do, just be ready for everything you thought you forgot to come back.